Hello and welcome to the 2023 Ecco shoe review from Golf FM. The first shoe I want to look at is the Ecco Biom C4. So I'm not going to beat around the bush here. I think this is pretty much one of the nicest things I've ever seen in my life. Shoe or anything else. I think the styling of this has been taken to a new level. I think it looks sporty, modern, techy, really good. It's a nice shape. This is their top shoe. As you can see, it's got all this stuff at the side. They call it an exhaust grid. It's supposed to let air in and obviously not let any water in when you're walking. It's Gore-Tex Surround. Gore-Tex Surround supposedly is in the S3 as well, and that is supposed to give you ventilation all round the shoe, top, bottom, everything. Now how it does it on the S3, which is like that and has no vents, no obvious openings in the sole, and still claims to have Gore-Tex Surround, I don't know, but it does. This one looks as though that can actually be happening because it has these air vents in the side. You can actually stick tees in the side of these as well, if you fancy it. This one's got the BOA lace fitting system, which I think is really, really good. I think it actually works very, very well. It's kind of got a trainer style in this. It's fully leather. It's coming in at about £190, something like that. RRP's over that, but good luck to you if you can get RRP these days. But it seems to be about £190, around about that. It's a lot for a shoe. And I do find myself, every time they come in, the Eccos, every year, I'm thinking to myself, oh my gosh, how am I going to sell all these shoes when they are so expensive? But every year I get through them. They just have, once you buy a pair of Eccos, you're almost like hooked into the whole thing, where they do try very, very hard, Ecco. You know, they're a shoe company and that's pretty much all they do. They have their own tanneries, they do their own leather. This is a very, very soft leather. It doesn't even look like leather. If you look like that there, it's almost like a mesh, but it is leather. It does smell a bit like leather. And then you've got all this trainer style stuff inside as well. But Ecco do try incredibly hard. They know what they're doing with shoes. This has a very firm mid area, which acts as a old-fashioned shank, which is not a great word to use in the golfing world, but it is helpful to your leg and body when you're actually moving. So it takes strain off the calf muscles because this bit is solid in it. It just helps in the movement of walking. I can't get into the physiology of that because I'm not qualified, but that's what it does. You do get a lot of support, you get a lot of help when you're walking. In terms of the overall cushioning of this, I'm going to have to put this down because it's heavy. It's not heavy. In fact, I'll tell you what it is. Oh, I left my scales in the kitchen. Hang on a second. Oh, I said I was going to put this down because I'm sort of fed up holding it up by my face all the time. I'll probably show you some other pictures and videos on top of this while I'm still spraffing away. Just wanted to show you it's not heavy, first of all, before I put it down. Ecco Biom C4 is 454 grams. In a size 43 is obviously going to be heavier than a size 49 or something. I don't even think they make a 49. 47. Anyway, not heavy, just couldn't be bothered holding it up anymore. And just wanted to talk a little bit about how they feel on the foot. So you slide your foot into them and they do feel quite firm in the heel area and reasonably firm in the sole unit as well. It's not one of these shoes you get into and it's absolutely like standing on a cushion. There is a bit of solidity in there, so it feels firmish. I would say the Biom C4 does feel a little bit firmer than the S3. The S3 is there, it has 3 different zones of softness, and this one has, you would think that the exhaust grid would offer a lot of cushioning just by the fact that it would compress. But to me, I don't know about anybody else, this feels a firmer sole unit than that does. So if you're looking for something a bit softer feeling, potentially the S3 might be the one you need to go for. But in terms of overall walking comfort, there's not a lot in it between the S3 and the C4, but I definitely notice that this feels a little bit firmer. And that's not a bad thing. You need a bit of support as well, or your feet just end up getting tired, I think. But it feels very, very comfortable, very soft in your foot once you get going. But just initially, if you're putting them one up against the other, I would say the S3 feels a wee bit softer. cushioning wise. As I've said, I really like the BOA, works really well and is very, very easy to use. Now, one of the things that's a slight downside with this is how dirty they get. I need to put this down again. It's feeling heavy. So remember, it's not heavy. It's just I've been holding it up for a long time. And this will actually be on your foot, so you're unlikely to be holding this as long as I am holding it. I've never held a shoe as long as this in my life. So it's not heavy, but it's annoying me. I want to put it down. I've had this pair of these myself. They had 1 week of golf in Turkey. I played 5 times and I haven't worn them since. Not that I haven't played golf since, I'm keeping these for my best. And you can see they're starting to get marked up a little bit. Now, I saw somebody recently that bought a pair of these not that long ago off me, and they do play a lot, and they were looking pretty well used. As with quite a lot of Eccos, if you get white, you have to be prepared for the fact that they're not going to look new for that long. It's just the nature of the softness of the leather, I think, that they use. They don't plaster paints and dyes into it to the extent where it's going to stop the breathability or anything like that. They do get a little bit dirty fairly quickly, and sometimes that's a bit annoying when they're such an expensive shoe. You kind of want it to look a bit newer for longer, but that just to me means you've got to be clever about your choices, and if you want to get a black pair or a darker pair, then that's obviously going to wear better. In fact, my other pair of these is this model, which again is one of the best black and grey shoes I've ever seen. It's as simple as that. And I got that with the BOA as well. So, I mean, all my shoes mostly see action in the shop. They don't see as much action on the golf course. I haven't actually worn these to play golf yet. They've just been in the shop a few days. So these are still looking quite new, but that's that sort of mesh. Again, is exactly the same shoe as the other one, so it's the same weight as well. Same annoyance factor in holding it up all the time. Really, really like this shoe. As I say, styling wise, I think it looks absolutely brilliant. Comfort wise, it is exceptionally comfortable. But again, that's got to fit your foot. I had a customer the other day who tried on S3s, and his foot was possibly a little bit wider, and he just couldn't get the S3 to feel comfortable, even though we took out I'll show you on the S3. The C4's got this as well. All the top end Eccos have got this, where you can take the insole out like that, and inside there's still basically an insole, still a level of cushioning there. It's all finished as well. It's not suddenly you take it out and it's like a bit of cork in there or something plastic that you're standing on. Even taking that out and giving the offer, I said, oh yeah, take the insole out and you'll get a bit more width. Well, still wasn't enough. But then tried the Biom, Bob's your uncle, and it worked perfectly. So that was just the shape of foot of that customer fitted better than the S3. The S3 is much more of a traditional shape, I would say, if you look at them like that. It's just a more of a straightforward shoe, and that Biom just has that slight indented shape. Supposedly when they were making this, the Biom last, they scanned to over 2,500 people's feet and took averages and shaped the shoe to fit exactly the shapes of feet that they were seeing. So it does have a slightly unusual look, although this one I don't think it is as noticeable. It was quite noticeable in the older Eccos when they used to do a little bit of a different shape on the toe. It used to be more noticeable, the shape of the Biom, but it doesn't look as different now. It's still a little bit different to the S3. So talked about how good it is, how much I like it, and the only downside potentially is if you choose a light colour, it's quite hard to keep them clean. The S3, again in a new range of colours this year, which I like. I think they've done a good job with it. Just again, it's quite a subtle shoe, and that was the thing with the C4, is they suddenly shouted Ecco at the back, and that's good for the tour, because you would quite often see tour players now would think, oh, he's wearing Eccos, but you could barely tell because an S3 isn't that noticeable when in some of the colours that you get it. It doesn't say Ecco loudly enough on it. But I quite like that branding thing. I think it looks quite toury and quite techy as well. So, but also I do like the S3. I think it's a really nice range of colours. In fact, I do have 2 pairs. I've got 2 pairs of S3s. I've got a ridiculous amount of Eccos on the go at the moment that I'm wearing basically in the shop, although I do wear one of them to play golf. So I've got these S3s with the BOA for shop work again. really, really good, and we've got them on all day. And I have to say, the Gore-Tex surround thing, although it doesn't look as though it's possible because there's no vents or gaps or anything compared to the exhaust grid on the other one, my feet don't feel any different, I would say, at the end of a day wearing these as they do those. Now you would think that one would be better and that it would let more air in. If I'm being honest, I'm not noticing a massive difference. I'm sure it's doing something, but to me it just shows you how good the S3 is in terms of its breathability, that I'm actually struggling to notice that there isn't an exhaust grid on this one. So I've got that one, which is very useful, and again that's been used quite a lot and it still looks half decent. You know, it's wearing quite well, so the dark ones do wear quite well. This is the one I've been playing golf in mostly, and I have had that a lot longer. I haven't really worn this in the shop, I've pretty much only worn it for golf. So you can see there it's starting to look a bit dusty and dirty. I mean, I could give that a little bit of a clean, but it's difficult. It's just starting to lose that whiteness. But it's okay, it's not too bad. I have seen worse results of light coloured Eccos than that. That one's not that bad. But again, brilliant shoe to play golf in, and if you're at all scared of the BOA system, don't be. It works really well. I don't even need to tell you how to use it. You get it and it's really, really easy to use. Oh, that's my other pair. Forgot about them. So I've got that for shop work as well. And occasionally I've played in these. So that's wearing okay. The soles will start to look a little bit dirty, but you can at least have a go at that with a scrubbing brush, if you're careful not to scrape the leather. I don't do a lot with the care of these, and from being honest, because I get them in the shop and I need them to look good, and I don't want to be wearing a scrappy looking pair of shoes in front of customers, so I tend to get a new pair before they've actually physically worn out. If they start to look dirty, then I tend to try and order a new pair. But I would, if I was a private customer trying to keep these going as long as I could, just put leather conditioner in there, like a lotion, just to keep that from drying out where it bends. That's the bit that I've found over the years you get problems with. It just, if you wear them a lot, they dry out. If you put a bit of leather conditioner in there, it helps keep it supple. But as for washing them, I just used to use sort of water and just brush with a cloth and things and try and make the best job I could of without putting any funny substances into the leather that might ruin it or dry it out or something. So that's all I can really say in terms of looking after them. This is another version of the C4, so that's just the one without the Biom, just with the laces. And the only thing about this is that I find the laces, I like to sort of tuck the laces out the way. This is just me. I don't like masses of laces in front. I like to be able to tuck them in, and you can't tuck them in on these. So you're always going to have to have your laces pretty much like that, or in a double knot or something to try and tidy them away. You can't do anything like that and kind of sneak them into the side. Another reason why I like BOA is because they just look so clean and tidy with that. You haven't got to bother about laces. I don't feel I've said a lot about the S3 because I've actually done a couple of videos where I've talked about S3s, and I'll put a link up. Where will it be? It'll be up there. I've always wanted to do that. I think it'll be up there. I probably got the wrong side. It's probably over there. I don't know. I think it'll be on that side. 2 videos on S3s. It goes into a lot more detail, but they do have 3 zones of cushioning on the sole here. So I think it's firmest in the middle, again, to help you with walking. Second firmest and softest at the front, I think. Very soft leather, removable insole for width. Slightly different sole design. I haven't mentioned the difference in the sole design, mainly because I don't notice a lot of difference. Put a clean one up for a change. I haven't noticed slipping in either of them, and I haven't noticed either of them clogging up any more than any of the others. Possibly this one, the C4, clogging up even less than that, but that may be coincidence. Just certain conditions, when you get kind of sticky, wet conditions, I'm not sure any shoe's not going to pick up something that is going to discard all detritus, good word, mud on the shoe at all. So nothing in it in terms of grip and slipping and all that. Final shoe is the Biom Hybrid. So this is the one that started a revolution back in the Masters in 19 Canteen. When Fred Couples started wearing it, everybody thought, what's he doing? He's wearing a trainer. He can't play golf in that. Well, they could play golf in that, and everybody has since been playing golf in these sorts of things. The only thing I would say about it is the Biom shape. The leather feels really, really soft. It doesn't have Gore-Tex, but it's got Hydromax. It is dry as well. Hydromax is their Ecco's own waterproofing system. They don't actually shout about Gore-Tex at all because they don't think that, I may be putting words in their mouth here, but I get the feeling that they think Hydromax is good enough, but nobody trusts it in the same way that Gore-Tex is trusted. So they have the Gore-Tex license, and if you give that away, it's difficult to get it back because they only give it out to a certain amount of companies, but they don't like shouting about it. Normally, if something's got Gore-Tex on it, it's in huge writing, and it's on the back of the shoe there, which you can barely see. They do work in terms of keeping you dry. They also have, you can see that, this sort of stitched tongue in there, which stops the water from going down the side of the tongue and in. It kind of has, at least has pulls in there and then runs down out the front. So they're good in the rain. I mean, nothing's going to be completely waterproof because there's a big hole here, so it's going to struggle to completely keep you waterproof. It doesn't feel quite as soft, the base of this and the overall feeling, as last year's version of it for some reason. Just a slight thing I noticed putting them on. They felt very comfortable. There's nothing you can do about it now because they don't make last year's one. So it is good enough. You wouldn't notice much of a difference. You're not going to lose out or anything on the new one. And it's a bit lighter than the others. So that's 389 grams. So it's quite a bit lighter. And that's the same size. The S3 is 412. 454, 412 and 389. None of them are heavy. None of them are a problem in terms of the weight. Where was I? Oh yeah, just finishing off with the Biom. So yeah, it's got that sort of Biom shape which fits a lot of people with slightly wider feet maybe as well, and just feels really nice and light and comfortable. And it's the white one of this just looks like you could go down the town in it. I mean, it's like a casual white fashion shoe. I think it's a grey one as well. I like this shoe. It's a stalwart. It's always in the range and it does well. 125, 130 quid or something. So it's probably a bit more expensive than some of the ones that you can get from most brands. But there's just a little bit more to it with having the Biom shape and the very soft leather that you get from Ecco. Because most shoes these days are synthetic. They're not even leather to start with. And I do think the leather does feel a bit softer and a bit more comfortable overall. So that's me, I think. Been through the three main models in the range. For me, the winner is the C4. It just has such a distinctive look. I think it's going to go down as an Ecco classic of all time. You know, it could be one of those ones that if you keep a new pair in your wardrobe and bring it out in 10 years time, you could be selling it for £9,000 or something. I don't know if that's going to happen with golf shoes, but it happens with trainers, so I don't see why it can't happen with. Maybe you need to wait 20 years or something like that, so it's a wee bit of a faff waiting all that time. But I do think it could be a classic. I do think I think it's one of the nicest shoes they've ever brought out in terms of the styling. But that's personal. Some people probably hate it and love the S3 and think, why would you ever get a C4 over an S3? So there's almost no point me saying I like it because you might hate it. In terms of the way it feels very premium. It feels, pick it up again, I've got my strength back. It feels very premium. It feels soft, comfortable, and as I said, I really, really like the looks. So I would recommend this one, but having said that, absolutely brilliant S3 that they haven't changed for about 3 or 4 years. Hardly changed it at all, because if it isn't broken, don't fix it. And it'll be interesting to see what they do with this, if they ever do change it much. But absolute brilliant shoe, breathes really well, waterproof, really soft. As I said, a little bit softer than that one, than the C4, but still with a lot of support. And then finally the Biom Hybrid, which is a great starter shoe for Ecco if you like, or a casual one if you want that sort of casual look. Right, so hopefully that's enough information on those. If you've got any questions, put them in the comments and I'll get back to you. And once again, thanks very much for watching. Cheers.